Tonight we go live from the Kentucky Motor Speedway in Sparta, Kentucky for race number 5 of 10 on the 2014 Real Sim Racing Asphalt Assault B Series presented by InsideSimRacing TV and Derek Spear Designs. Tonight, 120 laps and 180 miles is the scheduled distance around this 1.5-mile speedway as we welcome you into the LSRTV broadcast booth. As always, Evan Pasoko, Harrison Wilets, and Harrison. After tonight's race, we're actually going to be halfway through this championship already, so this is really going to be a key race because after tonight we're on the downhill side of things, so we really got to keep an eye on the point spread.
Yeah, certainly with only 10 races, pretty much mimics the NASCAR Sprint Cup chase, or at least the former chase as of a year before. But certainly there's not much room for error, and it just goes to show how quickly this season just comes and goes. And so 5 races will be down after tonight and 5 races to go. So the halfway point, we really get an idea of who's going to be looking to win this title.
And we take a look back 1 week ago at the Chicagoland Speedway where it was Bobby Terrell who would go on to lead 101 laps to take that checkered flag. He would finish in the number 1 spot. Dwayne Vincent would come home in 2nd. Adam Benefield with a 3rd place result. Scott Simley 4th. Ronnie Potts 5th. Dan Murray 6th. Kyle Tarasca 7th. Nathan Little 8th. Kevin Linden 9th. And John Bounty rounding out the top 10. But despite that 3rd place result, it's strange to say, Harrison, but that was the worst race Adam Bedefield's had all season.
Yeah, he sustained some right-side damage on that car, and it looked like it was going to be a really long night for him, but he did a great job of getting every ounce of speed that he could out of that thing, and you know, before you knew it, he was up there competing for the win, so it just goes to show he's a really tough cat out there, and he's going to be somebody that it will be tough to surpass to win the title.
So we look into the championship standings, and as you said, this season in itself is essentially a 2013 prior NASCAR Sprint Cup Series chase style. 10 races, and that is it. And it is Adam Benefield up the top of the board, has not finished outside of the top 3 all season long so far, sitting on 2 trips to victory lane at an average finish of 1.8. He's at the top at 179 points. Bobby Terrell 2nd. He's 17 points back, sitting on 1 trip to victory lane. Dan Murray with 2 top 5s is 3rd in the championship standings, 22 back. 26 points back, you're going to find Matt Lacrosse in 4th. And Ronnie Potts rounds out the top 5. He's 31 off.
38 out of the lead are both Scott Simley and Steve Ritter. Steve Ritter has that win to fall back on in a tiebreaker scenario. Rhett McBride currently 8th in points, 41 out of the lead. Kevin Linden 9th in points, 47 out. And then rounding out the top 10 is Mitch Rollo, actually 61 points out, so that's going to be rough for him.
Talk some track facts about the Kentucky Motor Speedway, located in Sparta, Kentucky, has a capacity crowd of 107,000 race fans. Broke ground back in '98 and had its first race in the year 2000 for a construction cost of about $153 million. But the track itself is an asphalt surface, 1.5 miles in length, and an intermediate track, 4 turns with 14 degrees of banking in the corner. Feels really flat when these drivers are out there in this fixed set. The tri-oval has 8 to 10 degrees of banking, a little bit of variation there, and 4 degrees down the back straightaways. So we look forward to a good one, but qualifying has come to a close. The cars are hitting the grid, and we're going to run it down through your Inside Sim Racing TV starting grid. And we talked about, and me and you were talking, Harrison, before we went on the air, that it was all Adam Benefield at the top. He did get a challenger, but it was not enough. It is Adam Benefield on the pole, a 31.659 fastest lap of qualifying and practice combined. He'll start on pole position. Matt Lacrosse, who was the fastest car in practice, he'll start alongside him in the number 2 spot with just about 2 100ths off. So the 85-21 going to make up the front row.
And it's a pretty sizable gap to 3rd. Bobby Terrell, 700ths off of 2nd, but a nice starting spot for him. Outside of Bobby will be Ronnie Potts in the number 6.
Nathan Little in the number 97 team will round out the top 5, starting on the inside of row number 3. And alongside him is going to be Rhett McBride, the number 2 Chevrolet, will start in 6th.
Starting 7th will be Dwayne Vincent, fresh off of a 2nd place finish last week. Dan Murray going to be starting 8th.
Kevin Linden on the inside of row number 5. The number 48 Lowe's Chevrolet starts P9. And Corbin Hemstreet, the driver of the number 41 machine, who has not had the results that he has been looking for this season. And he started all 4 races, but is well outside of the top 10 in the championship standings. Looking to pick up some momentum tonight. The Boomtown Sim Chevrolet starts 10th.
Starting 11th, Steve Ritter looking for his second win on the season. Cody Gibson will be in the number 8 alongside.
John Bounty going to be starting in P number 13, and him at the number 22 machine will start there. And alongside him, to his right-hand side, going to be Brian Harvey. Harvey's going to roll the Fearless Racing Axo Sanitary Services Hot Wheels Chevrolet off in that position on the outside. He'll be P14.
Starting 15th will be the number 4 of Scott Simley. Alongside him, the number 81 Spy Optics colors for Keith Brooks Jr.
And rounding out what looks to be the back half of the field in tonight's race, Kyle Gilbert, the number 38 Chevrolet, will start in P17. This is the outside of row number 9. The last car to take time in qualifying, Sherry Ann Mills, the number 77 Ford with GoDaddy on that car. We'll start 18th. It looks like it is going to be an 18-car field, Harrison. That means with a relatively smaller number of cars, this race definitely has a good possibility of going green, which could obviously play a big factor into who goes to victory lane today.
Yeah, and I think the most cautions we've had all season was actually last week at Chicago, which is a little bit surprising. Went cautionless to start out the season. Richmond, we only had 1 or 2 cautions, and it's just been that type of series. These drivers have really been sorting these races out on the track. Not too much chaos, not too much controversy, just some good old clean heads-up racing, and so Adam Benefield leading the grid to start this race, and what very well could be a really, really green race. And so these guys are just going to have to look to the green flag pit stops and all that stuff.
These guys have shown that they can run green. Do we see another one like that tonight? The field is doubled up behind the iRacing Ford First Mustang pace car as we pace through corners number 3 and 4. And the pace car gets set to dive down pit road, and we get set to take race number 5. Adam Benefield, a commanding lead so far in the championship. He's been up front whole season long, and he'll lead us to the green. Pace car's off. He's on the gas pedal. The green flag flies, and we're racing in Kentucky.
Yeah, Benefield gets a good jump, and I think what a lot of these drivers have to look out for is they're, especially in the middle of the field right now, the setup has a tendency to push, and the groove here is pretty much in that second groove. You'll see people jump down onto the flat on the bottom of these corners, but I think the banking just above that's going to be where most of these guys run. With a car that has a tendency to push, really going to have to watch how these exits are. Some people might just be sliding up the track without much control.
First car to try to make a move is Rhett McBride. He went down to the inside at the number 6 of Ronnie Ponce down in 3 and 4. Ronnie's going to cross the start-finish line that time by in P4. So Rhett McBride wanted that position, but just did not have the ability to get back to the gas there coming out of 4. Slid back to the 97 and Nathan Little on the outside. Looks like that South Point Chevrolet has gotten clear. And now the 9 of Dwayne Vincent to the outside. So Rhett McBride went to the bottom to try to make a pass. So far, he's lost 2 positions from it and may lose even more because Vincent's going to get around him off 4. He'll bring Dan Murray and the 41 of Him Street with him as well.
And this sure shows the signs, of a race that's going to be really hard to pass on the bottom. That high side, they don't have to turn the wheel that much. They can get on the gas a little bit earlier. And as Dan Murray, the number 5, clears Rhett McBride out of turn number 2. But McBride's going to get in line here. Right behind him, though, Kevin Linton looking to get past the 41 of Him Street. Linton actually gets below the number 2 McBride. So now McBride tries his hand at that high line. Looks like he's going to have no problem clearing Linden.
Yeah, so now Kevin Linden finds himself on the inside situation, and it was the 2 of Rhett McBride that voluntarily went down to the bottom to try to make a pass. Same thing that happened with Kevin Linden is the 41 of Corbin Him Street, who he rides side by side with now in corners number 1 and 2, I believe, on lap number 4. 41 did not have a good run off of 2 about 2 laps ago. He went to the inside to try to make the pass, and much like we saw happen in the 2 of Rhett McBride, he is going the wrong direction. Corbin Him Street is through and clear of him. Now the 8 of Cody Gibson going to be the next challenger. That's going to be door-to-door for position number 9 or 10, I want to say, at the stripe. Advantage is to the 8 machine. A failed attempt at another pass at McBride. Thought about the inside again. Dan Murray was able to hold him off. That was for P7. As the top 2 cars at a racetrack right now, they've opened up about a 7/10 of a gap over 3rd place on back, trying to pull away in the opening laps.
Yeah, Benefield has done a real good job through the beginning stages of this race. However, not able to shake Matt Lacrosse. We obviously saw the 85 car get that jump on the start of the race, but Lacrosse hanging with them right now. Last lap was about a 10th difference between the top two's lap times, but that time it was Lacrosse with a 200th of a second advantage, 200ths faster than the leader. But as you just saw, quite the gap from second to third, however, with Bobby Terrell pulling away from Ronnie Potts, and Terrell's lap times do look pretty solid himself. So it's going to be interesting. And actually another driver up there, Nathan Little, well, we spoke a lot about him last week, and he's flying those South Point colors this week, as he did last week, actually. But South Point, maybe trying to get some of that Brendan Gaughan mojo, but of course, ironically, Brendan Gaughan didn't have South Point on his car when he won this past weekend.
Maybe it brought some sort of luck to that team or something, but he is in the South Point machine here tonight as he rides right now in the 5th position. That is where he started, so he has not gained or lost any spots. Dwayne Vincent, after starting in 7th, he sits right behind Nathan Little in the number 8 position, but looks like Matt Lacrosse may be just slightly closing in on Adam Benefield. I know it was 0.3 of a second not too long ago, and this time by the stripe, going to get an updated number on that, and Adam Benefield's actually going to pick up 4 more hundreds, so it goes from 29 hundredths off to about 33.337 is the gap between the top two. About Bobby Terrell, again, we talked about the run that he put up last year when the RSR ran the Asphalt TV series, which was also presented by InsideSimRacing TV. Those guys back on board again this year to support this series, but that was a 36-race season, Harrison, and Bobby Terrell lost the championship to Stefan Marinak by 1 point. That's 1 position, the difference in 36 races. He obviously wanted to come into this 2014 campaign looking for redemption. He did everything he could last week because he put it in victory lane in dominating fashion, leading 101 out of the 130 laps. But Bobby Terrell, he rides third right now. He's not by any means having a bad season, but take a look 2 spots up. It is Adam Benefield. Again, his results consist of nothing worse than a 3rd place finish, a 2nd place, a first, and a 3rd place result right now riding P1. And we have to keep in mind, this is a fixed set series. It's not like the 85 and his team are, coming up with some amazing setup to give that team an advantage. He's wheeling that 85 machine right now, and he's actually stretching out the gap over Matt Lacrosse a little bit as it closes in on about 35 hundredths off the top spot.
Yeah, and it's very impressive because with a car that has a tendency to push and a car that is so momentum-based, you just have to be really precise with your inputs. You got to keep every ounce of speed that you can in those race cars. And of course, Bobby Terrell pretty successful at that as well. And he's somebody that, Adam is not going to get comfortable with Bobby Terrell in his rearview mirror because we've seen Bobby make up ground last season. He had a pretty inconsistent stretch of races and then just came on strong and just knocked out a bunch of wins and really made the title race interesting. In fact, getting the points lead, I believe, on 1 or 2 occasions late in the going before losing by just that 1 point. And so it's a driver you can't count out. Right now, the points lead from Benefield to Terrell, 17. And before last week, it was actually 24. So obviously not insurmountable by any stretch of the imagination.
There is a lot that can still happen, but this is one of our 1.5 mile speedways on the season. We'll see a couple more before we're done. I know Kansas is on the list. There's Charlotte, Homestead. Homestead's a little bit of a different 1.5. It's actually an oval, not a tri-oval or a D-shaped oval, but we've gone to, we've been to Atlanta, Chicago, so it's these intermediate tracks that really make up this series, and Adam Benefield has looked stout, and Matt Lacrosse put up a battle, and now he has just dropped back about a 10th a lap. It is 0.7 of a second as they run right now. The last car in the running order, Sherry Ann Mills, off pace by about a 10th or 2 a lap compared to the cars running just outside the top 10. She's already 16 seconds back, so she's feeling the tight conditions at this racetrack, and if continues to run at the pace, would probably lose a lap here. Maybe by about the lap 30 mark, because Adam Benefield, and you have to be so smooth in these cars, and Benefield's doing a masterful job at it. That time by, he completes lap 13, crosses over to take lap 14. It was a 32.35 for his lap time, a 3.3 for Matt Lacrosse, so Lacrosse closes it back in just a little bit. But Adam Benefield, calm, cool, and collective up front, continuing to just log out some lead laps here as he continues to really dominate this Tuesday night series.
Yeah, and this is actually the stretch of the run where it appears that the cars are falling off a little bit more from where they were about 5 or 6 laps ago. A lot of times a car will kind of hold station. It seems like you lose a lot of time in the early laps, and then it kind of holds steady for the rest of the run. However, it looks like the fall off is pretty linear right now, or at least more linear than we usually see. And right now, I have to point out the number 14 of Terrell really fast the last 2 laps, closing in about half a tenth each lap on the leader, and about 1.3 seconds out of that lead. Ronnie Potts also doing a really good job in 4th in that number 6 machine. But Terrell, he's one to watch. We could see a lot of green laps tonight, as already 15 laps into this one, completing lap number 15. And as we get farther along in this run, Terrell is looking better and better.
Yeah, again, Bobby Terrell is no stranger to this B car, and again, second in the championship standings. He does have a trip to victory lane, and he has finished inside of the top 5 3 times, top 10 3 times, so has really had only one off week, we'll call it, where he was unable to get a top 10 position, and that's really what has given Adam Benefiel that boost, because if Terrell has a good night, he's been top 5. If he has a bad night, he has one result outside of the top 10, so this would be a lot closer. Terrell just had one race not go his way, so that's where he finds himself in that hole, but he is significantly, as you said, closing in on Matt Lacrosse. The gap right now about 4/10 as they work through 1 and 2. The Muscle Milk Chevrolet looking stout on the long run. About still half a tenth slower than Benefiel, but closing in significantly on Matt Lacrosse, which would be for the number 2 spot. Matt Lacrosse, also to mention, he is 4th in the championship standings, and Equipped Car Chevrolet has yet to go to victory lane on the season so far.
Yeah, Matt's been up here pretty much every single race, getting everything that he can. Sometimes we've seen him actually in 2 out of the 4 races, I believe, sustain some pretty noticeable right-side damage, but it really didn't affect him at all. So he was able to bring home some really strong finishes. And just watching these 2 guys, watching Lacrosse and Terrell, it's interesting how they approach the corners. Lacrosse is doing a much wider arc. I've seen Terrell actually go onto that bottom groove that's flatter a couple times trying to get his car to turn. Hasn't done it in 2 laps, so he might have not liked how it made his car feel, or maybe it's just a lot tighter now to where he's not getting it down there. But it's interesting when you have a tight race car, it usually really changes the way these drivers can affect how they drive the racetrack, because they're doing all that they can to turn the car, as Terrell actually just got onto that flat through 1 and 2 just in this last time.
We have a little bit of a battle brewing back in the pack for position number 9. Corbin Himstreet has been able to get a nose on the outside of the 8 of Cody Gibson. So the 41 Boomtown Sims Chevrolet will move up to the number 9 spot. Cody Gibson drops back to 10th, but Cody Gibson has shown that he is a strong machine in these opening few laps. He does drop back to 10th, but he started in 12th, so he had picked up quite a few positions before just losing a spot right now. A couple other guys back throughout the field. Top 13 still within 9 seconds of our race leader. Sherry-Ann Mills, again at the back of the pack, is about 10 seconds ahead or so of Adam Benefiel, as she would lose her lap relatively soon. She's shown that having some struggles with the cars, not really that good at qualifying or practice, but this is a very hard racetrack to drive. It is extremely tight, and you can tell by the way she's driving it, she just hasn't quite gotten this racetrack figured out, and it is so line sensitive that really if you haven't logged a lot of laps here and have learned this track inside and out, it's very easy to just get off pace that quickly.
Yeah, and clearly really tight all around the racetrack. The 77 car having some issues. Just this past time through 3 and 4 lost a lot of momentum, actually downshifted to get rolling again. But she's going on the apron a considerable amount in turn 1 and 2 right there. Just doing everything, actually catches the flag, gets her a little bit loose right there, but just doing everything that she can to get the car to rotate. And it's really hard to adjust to a really tight race car, because a lot of times lifting early and just rolling for what feels like forever is the way to go to keep the momentum. But it's hard to really get used to that rhythm of a really tight race car where going slower is actually faster. But certainly probably learning a lot as we get through this stretch of run here.
Yeah, you can get down there to the bottom as we go side by side, but once you get those left side tires down on that apron, it goes from being really tight, and that back end will just step out on you very quickly. So the apron is not a race car driver's friend. Meanwhile, Bobby Terrell has gotten through and clear for second position. We talked about that, and he has opened up about a 4/10 of a second gap over Matt Lacrosse. However, in doing so, Adam Benefiel just continuing to cruise up the front of the field, and he actually closes in right now on Sherry-Ann Mills. She'll go a lap down this time by as Benefiel goes to the bottom to get around her, but 2.2 plus seconds to Terrell, Lacrosse, and company. So Adam Benefield showing just once again that he's so smooth. And again, you mentioned that these beat cars are so momentum based, and just being that smooth. Benefield, he's not running the fastest laps every lap. That time he got a 32.369 to Bobby Terrell's 4.95. But I mean, we've seen times where Terrell's been faster, Matt Lacrosse has been faster, Harrison, but Benefield is just so consistent. He's so smooth that as soon as one of those other guys have some sort of an issue, he just continues to ride his own race, and he's able to continuously pull away. After putting Sherry Mills' lap down, no other cars really in a relative risk. The last car on the lead lap actually is Corbin Hemstreet. It's going to come down to pit road for some extent of service. He's into his stall on lap 25.
Yeah, Corbin Hemstreet, it's kind of surprising to see a pit stop this early in the race. I'm not sure, maybe a little bit of short pitting strategy, but I'm not sure if something happened to him that triggered this strategy. But Bobby Terrell, as you pointed out, was able to get by Matt Lacrosse for second. However, in this stage of the run, it just seems like Terrell didn't have the edge that he had a little bit earlier in this run. About 10 laps ago, he looks really fast. Right now, Benefield being more consistently running in the 32.30s. And consistency, as you pointed out, just so valuable, because even if you don't put out that hot lap every single lap or fastest lap on the track on a specific lap, if you're able to run just a hair off of that a lot, it really pays off. And Lacrosse, the 21 car, putting so much pressure on the 14 of Terrell right now, it's one of those interesting things where sometimes you're really getting held up by someone, and then you get by them, and then the guy that you just passed is now getting held up by you. So it's one of those things where your handling characteristics tends to change, but also maybe a little bit of right front tire temperature. You try to pass someone, get that right front a little bit heated up, and suddenly you're a little bit tighter once you finally get the position. So it's a bit of a double-edged sword of sorts.
And Lacrosse has had the opportunity that at many other racetracks he would be able to step out of line, go down to the inside, and try to complete some sort of pass, but he's catching Terrell on entry, so he can't really get down to the inside of the 14 machine on those straights because of the way Bobby Terrell's running. So Matt Lacrosse needs to get to the outside. He needs to catch him on a corner exit and get enough speed. And he's going to hit the fence pretty significantly there, Matt Lacrosse, out of 4, and he'll drop way off of Terrell. Wonder how much that's going to hurt him because he got a good lick on it out of 4.
Yeah, it's certainly not going to help. Time will tell exactly how much that hurts him, but certainly that could tighten your car up in a hurry, and certainly that significant damage to the right side, above the right front wheel well, everything, that can affect the aero as well. So Lacrosse, I think he was trying everything he could, and I think he was actually maybe even looking to get a nose above Bobby, but once that car starts heading up the hill, it's almost like your hands are tied, and the car is just going to continue to slide up the hill whether you like it or not. And a lot of the times in those situations, when you lift out of the throttle, it can make the car push even a little bit more. And it's like the car unloads and then just keeps sliding laterally to the right, and so not a very good position. But I think it won't be long. Lacrosse will be feeling the pressure from that number 9 of Dwayne Vincent, who's got Ronnie Potts right with him, as well as the number 97, Nathan Little. All right in a row, 4th, 5th, and 6th.
So as we run right now, Adam Benefield has passed the 1/4 distance mark in this race. 15 cars remain on the lead lap. Last car on the lead lap is the 38 of Kyle Gilbert. Corbin Hemstreet sits 1 lap down again after coming down pit road on lap 25 for some extent of service. Sherry Ann Mills is retired. She'll bring her number 77 behind the wall. She will get a 17th place result. And also Brian Harvey out of the race after catching the wall at corner number 2, a handful of laps to go. He looks like he'll walk away with an 18th place result. Gonna step away for our first commercial break of the evening. When we come back, more racing from the Kentucky Motor Speedway. You're watching the Real Sim Racing Asphalt Assault Series on LSRTV.
Trucking has always been a part of me. It started years ago when my dad and granddad were hauling vegetables to market in Liverpool. The family immigrated to Canada in the late 60s and settled near Alliston, Ontario. I bought my first truck in 1982 and Mercer Trucking was born. Today, Mercer Trucking has over 50 trucks in terminals in Toronto and Los Angeles. Our storage facilities at both terminals can handle any size of distribution needs throughout North America. We service the continental U.S., including Hawaii and Alaska. We run over 120,000 miles per month and some of the best equipment on the road today. We specialize in less than truckload shipments, show freight, we do rush team service deliveries, and haul your refrigerated or heated product. Our regular team service from Canada to California is second to none, and our staff and drivers are among the best in the business. I'm proud of our people and what they can achieve. Trucking is in my blood, it's my livelihood, and it's what I do best.
Back, and that is a look at the 85 of Adam Benefiel. He goes around in corners number 1 and 2 to bring out a yellow, but he did not do it from the lead where we left him. So in true ESPN Fox fashion, Harrison, we go to commercial break, and it all went down. Essentially, Adam Benefiel is a victim of the iRacing equivalent of a mechanical failure. He dropped connection to the sim, joined back in, obviously frustrated, was about 4 or 5 laps down, and just tried to get back out on track too fast and spun it out. He sits 6 laps down, and if this race is going to go green for a long time, he's not going to get those 6 laps back. Bobby Terrell is P1, and that championship lead that he has grown and grown and grown is gone as we come down for caution flag pit stops led by the 14.
Yeah, certainly those electrical problems, those connection problems, the mechanical failure equivalent, to say the least. So you could say that Adam had to take his car behind the wall. He's back in the server now, and as you said, when we saw that replay, when we came back from commercial, just an angry driver, to say the least. And of course, I think we would all be angry in that situation. But when you drive a little bit angry, you tend to be a little more throttle happy, and just goes to show these cars aren't easy to drive. Certainly a loss of grip, tire spin on the apron as he was trying to get up to speed, and And it certainly didn't get him the lucky dog. He's going to get a wave around here by virtue of staying out, but he's going to need 5 more lucky dogs, 5 more wave arounds, and in a race like this, that sure doesn't seem very likely. So the chances of him getting back on the lead lap look pretty slim right now.
Well, Bobby Terrell takes out the cone. He will leave pit road in the number 1 spot with a 4-tire stop. The 20-minute Matt Lacrosse overdrove it and is actually currently sitting in his stall. May have had some sort of a penalty, or he was probably getting the damage fixed on his machine, because he slid through his stall, had to back in, took 4 tires. Looks like he might have got some of the right side damage fixed, because he caught the wall a few times, you said, and you can still see the right front of that machine showing the battle scars from beating the outside wall. So he'll drop back to the tail end of the lead lap, which now includes Corbin Hemstreet. The Boomtown Sims Chevrolet has gotten back around. He'll be a lead lapper.
Yeah, and Matt Lacrosse, we saw him catch the wall when he was running right with Bobby Terrell in that battle for second at the time. And when we were in commercial, he was actually about to get trained by about 3 or 4 cars, and he took the really high groove, giving these guys lots of room. But that car went right for the wall on turn 4 exit. So Matt Lacrosse hit the wall again while we were under commercial break, and certainly was probably repairing that damage on pit lane. Decided to give up track position in interest of getting that car a little more up to pace. Probably the right call to make in that situation. But so, as you said, going to put him, I believe, 15th in the running order once it cycles through. Actually, Corbin Hemstreet on pit road, so 14th for Matt Lacrosse.
So when we go back green, we'll have maybe 79, 78 to go, which means we have completed 1/3 of this race on 1 caution. And again, the caution wasn't really for anything racing related. It was, but not out on the racetrack. And you said that obviously frustrated Adam Benefiel, and he came over the radio, and I mean, he like he said, and he said it over the radio, and we noticed he was just so strong. He's been dominant. He's had the solid finishes. It's not going to go your way all the time, and by something completely out of his hand, he gets kicked out of the server. He's 6 laps down with the fastest car on the track.
Yeah, and certainly if Bobby Terrell's able to win this race with Adam Benefiel finishing 16th, he'd lose the points lead by just a couple of points, and so he's certainly not out of this title fight by any stretch of the imagination. Of course, for that to happen, Adam's gonna have to not see any attrition go his way, and also Bobby Terrell gonna have to actually win this race, and certainly that's no easy task to do. And there's a lot of racing to go in this one, as you said, just about a third into this race right now. And so Terrell's going to be feeling the pressure. He knows this is a big opportunity for him. His mindset's a little bit changed from when he was the driver in second trying to chase down his competitor, the points leader. And so it's always interesting. Racing can certainly change in an instant. You just never know what's going to happen.
Light's going to go off on top of the pace car, so we'll go back green when we come to take lap number 43. But all this being said, it is in no means saying that the 14 to Bobby Terrell is in the clear, because again, like you said, this is still racing. We could see what happened to Benefiel happen to Terrell. Anything could happen to Terrell. He's still out there, but about 15 other race cars battling for position. So Terrell knows that his objective has changed. He said that his mindset has changed, but he can't just go out there and coast. He's still got a race. You got Dwayne Vincent next to you. Vincent, no slouch, in the number 9 Napa Chevrolet. The Nathan Little machine, how about him? Going to be starting up in 3rd. Coming up to this next restart. But if Terrell is able to capitalize on this, and with still more than half the race to go, he can even pick up the most laps led, get a couple more bonus points off of that. If he's able to win this, he'll be going back-to-back, which the only other person to do that is Mr. Adam Benefiel, and that would, again, completely change this championship outlook. Again, I said after tonight we're going to be at the halfway point, and Adam Benefiel was building a lead. It's going to turn into a 5-race chase for the championship if it ends the way they run right now, because we'll essentially be back to square one, as those guys at the top of it are going to be so close. Not only that, but Murray, Lacrosse, Ponce, these guys can all capitalize on it as well and get themselves back into this championship. Pace car gets set to dive down to pit road off of corner number 4 and takes that sharp left-hand turn down to safety right there. Bobby Terrell in control of the field. He can go when he wants. He holds him back. Everybody stacks up behind him, gets set to go. Now he's on the gas. We're green flag racing once again. The 97 thinks of the inside. That's Nathan Little. He'll go back up in line for P3.
Yeah, not a great start for Dwayne Vincent. It's pretty difficult to get a good start when you're going on the leader from the outside of that first row, but this is almost a repeat of what we saw last week. Different track, under the lights compared to during the daytime, but Dwayne Vincent put a lot of pressure on Terrell last week at Chicago when it came down to those two racing for that win. And so Vincent as well, this really changes his opportunity because he wasn't very far off of Terrell earlier in the race, and right now he's really closing in, probably sizing himself up to see, just what do I have for this 14 car. It's a fresh reboot with that restart, and now the 9 really setting his sights on this lead here, and you know that he wants to win just as badly as Bobby does.
Dwayne Vincent, so he sits right now in second position. It's about 2 car lengths that separate those guys in the running order as they are out there on the racetrack right now. They are already starting to open up a little bit of a gap over Nathan Little, who wants to put that Brendan Gaughan Chevrolet in victory lane like Brendan Gaughan did this past weekend in the Nationwide Series. But he rides third, but I think Dwayne Vincent again, and we talked about Bobby Terrell, and we can't give the impression that because Adam Benefield's gone, Bobby Terrell's the second fastest car, maybe, but definitely he does not have as much of a margin over those other cars as Benefield did on the rest of the field, because Dwayne Vincent is not going anywhere. He rides right now 1.5 car lengths off the 14 machine. He actually got to the bumper down the back straightaway the last time by. This time they take like 46 at the stripe down into 1. That 9 machine is not going to roll over and give this one up because, again, we saw that this race looked like it was going to go green all the way, and a strange set of circumstances caused Adam Benefield to be slow at 1 and 2, leave it a pit lane after lagging out, and spin. So Vincent knows that if you want to get the pass, it may be your best time to do it now because, again, this thing still has a very good possibility of going green from this point on to the checkers.
Yeah, and when you have a situation where the leader who had a comfortable lead encounters an issue like that, it makes pretty much everyone's mouths water a little bit. They could smell that lead. You could just see that number 9 car, Dwayne Vincent. You could tell he's probably driving it harder than he has all race long because he knows how valuable it would be should he be able to complete the pass on that 14 car of Terrell. And so he's really going for it right now. Terrell a little bit higher on the racetrack. Dwayne right there down there on the apron. Well, I call it the apron. It seems like the apron from the driver's perspective, but that low groove on the racetrack, a little bit flatter. You can put your left sides down there, try to rotate your car a little bit more. Dwayne doing everything that he can to try to get that nose on that 14 of Terrell.
He is definitely driving it in hard. Side by side, back of the pack for position number 10, and 3 wide. The 21's going to split the gap. Look at Matt Lacrosse go at a corner number 2. He wants to go from 12th to 10th. He'll get it down the back straightaway as he split the 16 to Steve Ritter on the bottom, and the 81 to Keith Brooks Jr. up on the top. The 85 machine wanted to do the same. That is Adam Benefield. Again, he is 6 laps down, so not battling for position with these drivers, but it is still Ritter trying to get around Keith Brooks Jr. on the inside lane. But what a move by Matt Lacrosse for this point in the race to make it work there down that back straightaway and get 2 spots at about 3 seconds.
Yeah, and that's something that the opportunity that really opens up when 2 drivers are side by side and the driver on the low side is having a lot of trouble completing the pass. Both cars lose a lot of momentum, not able to run their ideal racing line. Driver can sneak up there in the middle and try to take advantage of that. That's exactly what Matt Lacrosse did, trying to rebound from that loss of track position, sitting on pit road there, fixing that damage. And it was a textbook 3 wide because 3 wide out of the corner and only 2 wide by the time he got to turn number 3, and that's the way you want to set them up.
Well, we saw Dwayne Vincent. He was on the back bumper of Bobby Terrell, and lap 49 was not kind to him. Got a little bit too greedy down in 1 and 2. Had to back out of it a little bit and lost some significant ground. And it's ironic to say that significant ground's about a car length out there on the racetrack. He's still within 0.2 of a second, and now going to make another move to the bumper down into corner number 1. But Terrell just doing what he has to do, and when you're a leader, you got these guys up behind you, it's so hard to just not look in that rearview mirror and watch him all the time. In theory, you don't even want to look at him, you just want to continue to run your line, but that's nearly impossible. Bobby Terrell knows he's there. Dwayne Vincent has made sure that Bobby knows he's there because he's given him a couple taps to the bumper off that restart.
Yeah, and with these top 2, it's really a perfect example of a tale of 2 mentalities. Bobby Terrell only wants to go as hard as he has to. He wants to, you know, retain as much right front tire as he possibly can, not overheat any of his tires, and just keep that as much rotation as he can in that car. Meanwhile, Dwayne Vincent knows that he'll be in a better position should he be able to get that lead from Terrell, so he's pushing harder. He's pretty much in a box that he has to push harder. And it's a tough place to be the leader in this scenario. It's a tough place to be in second. Passing Bobby's going to be no easy task whatsoever, but, you know, that 9 car, not letting that 14 car get away by any stretch of the imagination.
And interesting enough to note, Nathan Little continues to ride only 0.3 of a second back. So if these top two were to get battling, then he would obviously be able to pull what you said that we saw happen back at the back with Matt Lacrosse, is take advantage of 2 cars battling side by side where their lap times will be slower and try to make a move. But he's actually slowly creeping into this picture on his own. He'll go from 0.3 to 0.2 out of it. The top 3 throw a blanket over him, only 2,800 separate them. Vincent still knocking on the door. He could go to the inside, but he can't. He needs to find a way to get to the outside if he wants a relative shot at making a pass for the lead. Top 3 have a car length separating the most.
And Nathan Little last week, I believe, getting his first top 10 of the season. In fact, I might have to check that, but you know, he's shown signs of speed throughout this season. Not quite able to get the finishes that he's capable of, but certainly looking really good at this point, right on top of this battle. And as you pointed him out, he's just getting closer and closer. And as those 2 cars continue to really race each other and size each other up, and you know that Terrell's really keeping an eye on his mirror at that number 9 car, that it tends to slow a car down, and that just condenses these guys more and more. And Ronnie Potts, we saw him really consistent and capable in the long run earlier in this race, and he's about 9/10 out of the lead with Scott Simley on his bumper, that the number 6 Mustang as well as the number 4 Mustang. And so those are 2 drivers that could even creep into the picture pretty quickly, and Rhett McBride, right with them, has been competitive all race long. Dan Murray's in 7th, and I tell you what, the first time I ever raced Dan Murray was at this track. It was a very tight setup, and I always thought that he was someone who could really adjust to a momentum-based setup like that. He was totally capable of making some really good time on the long run. So he's somebody that, you know, we can't take our eyes off of. He could creep into the picture right now. So very interesting stuff here. The top 3 in the race, really condensed.
Kind of strange to know, but we have 3 groups of 3 out there on the racetrack that make up the top 9 cars, who have 1st through 3rd, Terrell, Vincent, Little, and their own little pack of 0.3 of a second separating them. Then 4th through 6th, Ronnie Potts, Scott Simley, and Rhett McBride, separated by 4 1/1000ths each as they ride in those 3 spots. And then even further back, you mentioned Dan Murray's got Kevin Linden and Cody Gibson not too far behind him. Those 3 cars separated by about 4 1/1000ths of a second. So 3 groups of 3. Interesting how that works out. And Dwayne Vincent apologizing to Bobby Terrell. He got into him there. I don't think he got him. He got real close. They have made really slight contact with the left rear, but immediately apologizing. And just as I was about to say, Nathan Little, the 97, was starting to slide back because of that checkup that Dwayne had to make. It has allowed Nathan Little to get back side by side with him. Only issue is the South Point Chevrolet has only been able to get to the inside. And that time at the stripe, Dwayne Vincent with ease on the outside preferred lane is able to hold off Nathan Little, so Little will slide back and retain what he is running right now in P3. But Ronnie Potts starting to creep up into the picture in the number 4 spot as he starts to close in on Nathan Little and company and start to put some time on the guys behind him, Scott Simley and Rhett McBride.
Yeah, Ronnie Potts was a driver who I think he ran with Dwayne Vincent for the duration of that first run. And that number 6 car was really competitive. And I mean, we saw Dwayne up here racing with Bobby for so far this entire run. So Potts, I think, pretty similar in speed. A little bit of track position could go a long way for that number 6 car. But I think what we're seeing right now, Dwayne Vincent trying to chase back Bobby Terrell down. Not quite able to shake the 97 a little, though. Little considers diving low entering turn 3 and thinks better of it. Dwayne really enters these corners hard. Really looks like he dives into these corners, tries to keep as much momentum as he can on exit. Sometimes it could be a bit of a trade-off. I think Terrell's entering a little bit easier, able to wait a little bit, get on the gas a little bit earlier than Vincent, get a nice run off. And so a tale of 2 styles, really, in the top 2.
Last car on the lead lap right now as we run is the 38 of Kyle Gilbert. He rides 14 seconds back from race leader Bobby Terrell and 6 seconds away from the next closest car, which would be the 22 of Sean Bounty in 12th. So Gilbert significantly off the pace at this point, and I want to say significantly off the pace. He's only sitting right now. That last time by he was actually about a second off. But again, we've seen cars tonight, Harrison, just having such rough times trying to adjust to how tight this setup is, and you can definitely add him to that list. He qualified in 17th, so he has been able to take some advantages of these cars that have had troubles that include Brooks, Ritter, Benefield, Mills, Harvey, to get himself up into a number 13 position. But that 38 still needs to find something more if he wants to be competitive, assuming we get a caution here late and he wants to get a couple more spots. But Nathan Little, he's going to go back to the inside for P2. We'll see how this works out. Going to be door-to-door down into 1.
Yeah, that 97 gets a really nice run, but the problem here is he has to slow his car down enough that he doesn't slide up and get Vincent. Vincent actually backs out, looks back underneath him right there, but that was textbook, a really nice pass for Nathan Little. And he got just enough of his car up on that number 9 that he was able to just clear him on entry. You really want to clear him early on in this corner with a tight race car so that you have that room on exit to just stay on the throttle and try to not get crossed over. So Nathan Little, how about that? Brendan Gaughan wins the nationwide race. We're here, nationwide cars at Kentucky. South Point Chevrolet up to position number 2. A little bit reminiscent of Saturday night, if I say so myself.
And Bobby Terrell is not running away from them. Typically, as we've seen Little be able to get to the number 2 position, and because him and Dwayne were side by side, you think Bobby Terrell would just set sail, but the Muscle Milk Chevrolet, although he continues to run consistent lap times, we talked about how much more smooth Adam Benefield was when he was up there in the front compared to Terrell. So Terrell's still running solid lap times, but the 97 and the 9 did not really drop back any significant amount of time there, as it looks like Terrell's got about 2-3 car lengths this time at a quarter number 2. We are past the halfway point, so going to give you a Derek Spear Designs full field rundown as we run right now lap 65 of 120. Bobby Terrell, the Muscle Milk Chevrolet, as we've talked about, in the number 1 spot. Nathan Little rides in 2nd position. Dwayne Vincent just recently sliding back to 3rd. Ronnie Potts is in 4th. Scott Simley with a 5th place showing at the moment. Rhett McBride sits in 6th spot. Dan Murray in 7th. Cody Gibson rides 8th in the number 8 machine. Again, significant improvement after starting P12. Kevin Linden, the 48 machine, is 9th. And Matt Lacrosse, after running up front early on, working a little bit of right side damage, he rounds out your top 10.
Sean Bounty currently running actually Sean Bounty just hit pit road. He was the 11th place driver. Now Kyle Gilbert takes over 11th place, so the 22 car, a little bit of an early pit stop for him. So Kyle Gilbert up to position number 11, Sean Bounty back to 12th. Corbin Himstreet, we saw him pit, and he's currently shown in 13th. Keith Brooks Jr. shown in 14th at the moment. Adam Benefield 6 laps down in 15th. Steve Ritter took it to the garage not long ago. Not exactly sure what trouble he encountered, but currently in 16th. Sherry Ann Mills out of the race in 17th. Brian Harvey out of the race in 18th. So currently on the track right now, only 15 drivers in this one.
Yeah, we've had a significant amount of cars that have had some sort of, or some trouble to a description. You mentioned Steve Ritter, the number 16 machine, who retired from the race not too long ago. He rides right now. He's 9 laps out of it. He is off the racetrack, so his night is done. Meanwhile, we do have 3 cars that have dropped off the lead lap. Corbin Himstreet, Sean Bounty, and another machine there, Keith Brooks Jr. So 11 machines on the lead lap. Last car on the lead lap remains Kyle Gilbert. And the number 6 machine has some company. That is Ronnie Potts. The 4 machine of Scott Simley was all over his back bumper. We got 4 cars separated by maybe 2/10 here. Harrison, Little, Potts, Simley, McBride, a big pack for P3.
Yeah, all that racing really brought them all together. And Dwayne Vincent able to get back into second past Nathan Little. And as that little race heats up, actually the number 2, Rhett McBride, all the way down to that yellow line on the bottom of 3 and 4, trying to get every ounce of speed that he can, really utilizing that flat. Looks pretty good, however, not quite to get far up on the 4 that I think they'll be able to clear him here. But it remains side by side in turn 1. Brad McBride working on Simley, but right there it's going to get real tight, and you could just see Simley just use that momentum on the high side, able to clear McBride with authority, really. But Ronnie Potts, good on the long run in that first run of the race, and really in the picture right now. Only about a second out of the lead. It's about 3 or 4 tenths from Terrell to Vincent, and then another couple of tenths from Vincent to Little. Ronnie Potts, though, he's sneaking up into the picture here. And I actually 5th in points right now, so, he could be a factor.
And the one car that is not liking, again, all of this green flag racing is Adam Benefiel, who, on the worst night that these guys have had, caution-wise, still probably wouldn't even get the 6 laps back because these guys have run so much green flag racing that he is, again, essentially stuck in that 6 lap down spot. Sean Boundy has gone 2 laps down. He was 1 lap down not too long ago, and Terrell hasn't been able to get around him, so the 22 Chevrolet in 14th rides 2 laps down. So Corbin Hemstreet, as they run right now, is sitting in the lucky dog position as he rides right now in P12. But we were able to see Nathan Little. He got by Dwayne Vincent. Vincent got it back. And that time, Bobby Terrell was able to capitalize on the battling behind him because he's opened up a significant gap for how close these guys have been running, for that matter, throughout the race. It is only 4 tenths of a second. Really is not a comfortable lead, but it is more than it was before. He'll knock another 10th on it, that time by 5 tenths. Now back to Dwayne Vincent. Nathan Little slid back to 7 tenths off, and Ronnie Potts, who again was up there battling with Nathan Little not too long ago. After that all sorted out, him, Simley, and McBride have kind of slid back about half a second on those top 3. But again, still kind of these 3 sets of 3 cars going on as we continue to run under green flag conditions at Kentucky. Bobby Terrell trying to stretch away. Looks like we're going to have another challenge for P2.
Yeah, Nathan Little making a run at that second position. Looks like he should be able to clear Dwayne here. Dwayne's going to try that outside, but that center speed, you want to be low just right there. And he gets clear pretty easily there, 1 corner. So Nathan Little back to second, and right now what Dwayne's hoping is that he's actually hoping that the 97's a little bit faster right now so that they can try to chase down the leader. But as we really work through this run, one thing I noticed, Matt Lacrosse recently came down pit road. He's short pit. He's probably good on fuel the rest of the way. Right now there's about 46 laps to go. And so Lacrosse was running about 8th or 9th after he started at the back of the pack after fixing his damage. Right now showing 11th, 1 lap down. So he wants these pit stops to cycle through. Probably a little bit of time until we see these leaders come down. But short pitting will be interesting here, especially out of the drivers in the top 6. And actually, speaking of drivers in the top 6, Brett McBride, number 2, a little bit of right side damage. He caught the wall off of turn number 4, so he's losing touch with these guys.
So the way that short pitting is going to work is he's back out on the racetrack right now running lap times that are faster than all the guys that have stayed out or have yet to come down pit road by about 3 tenths a lap. The only opposite side of that is he'll be making up time now. When they come down pit road, he may have passed them the way it all cycles through, but then they'll be running 3 tenths faster than him. So Matt Lacrosse's strategy would be try to get out front of him and hold him off. And it has shown that passing is hard to do, so this could work out for Matt Lacrosse. We have Dan Murray, the number 5 machine. He's got a lap down because he's come down for service at about the 47 to go mark not too long ago. So Murray and Lacrosse, the main lead lap cars that we've seen up front that have come down pit road to get the green flag cycle of pit stops kind of kicked off, not at the Bolt group. You'll pretty much see everybody come in, if not before. Once Bobby Terrell hits the pit lane, we may see a couple of guys stay out to try to get a bonus point of some sort, but Terrell just continuing to work right now in the number 1 spot and has nearly opened up the gap to Nathan Little and company by about a second. Real strong on this long run as Little continues to try to battle with Dwayne Vincent for P2.
Yeah, and Terrell loves that when he looks in his mirror when he sees those guys battling for second. As once again the battle for second continues, Dwayne Vincent gets underneath the number 97 of Little, clears him entering turn 3. I think Nathan Little backs out there and thinks, okay, let's get back in line here, see what we can do. So these two just having a little discussion about who's faster out front right now, because ultimately both want to catch the leader. Obviously, the battle for second they can work out throughout the race, but. That short pitting strategy, I like that strategy on Dan Murray's behalf. He was running about 7th. He was losing touch with the top 6, in fact, a little bit off of them. And, you're not going to pass everyone by doing exactly what everyone else does unless you have a significant performance advantage. And so in that scenario, you do the opposite of what everyone does. You know, say you have a caution, everyone stays out, you pit, everyone pits, you stay out. So Dan Murray looking to utilize that fresh rubber, really get a run here on these guys, see if pit stops cycle through, if he's able to get some spots out of it. And so that's the strategy there, but most of these drivers have stayed out. Right now, 9 on the lead lap, but we are noticing these drivers are separating themselves from each other a little bit. Bobby Terrell about an 8/10 advantage on Dwayne Vincent. But Dwayne Vincent and Nathan Little just not able to get away from each other, as now the 97 creeping up on the number 9 once again.
Yeah, so the thing about this is we've seen Terrell have to work, and despite the fact that Dwayne Vincent and Nathan Little have been battling, it's kind of balanced out the gap between first and second to about 8/10. And coming down pit road under green flag conditions is a place where you can lose and or make up a lot of tenths, and for how hard you got to battle for every 10th out there on the racetrack, we could see some guys get in here a little bit hot, try to get on pit road, trying to get whatever they can out of it.
Yeah, absolutely. It's maybe the easiest place to make a mistake because, you know, most races you really only do a green flag pit stop once or twice, and a lot of guys don't practice that in practice, and so it's kind of learning on the fly or educated guesswork, or you hope it's an educated guess anyway, and also pitting in traffic can be a bit sketchy because you're looking in your mirror, or if you and the gentleman in front of you both come down pit road at the same time. You're watching him, you're watching where he's at. Maybe even you both psych each other out and both overdrive the entry to pit road and speed. So, you know, you can't afford to speed on pit road, but you can't afford to give up much time either. So it's a balancing act because just how important track position is. But certainly a little bit conservative is a little bit better than over aggressive to the point that you're really risking a speeding penalty.
Well, Rhett McBride, he's come down pit road from running into one of our top spots, and he enters pit road. He's currently being scored in the 8th position. Got all he could out of it coming down to pit road, but he's working some pretty significant right side damage on the GT Omega machine. Going to be interesting to see if he stays in maybe a couple extra seconds here. Left side's on it, and it looks like he is going to sit there maybe just a little bit to get some right side repairs. Rhett McBride on pit road and off, and again, obviously, these are the final stops that these guys need to take. I don't really see an advantage, Harrison, on sometimes you'll see guys stay out so they have to fill it up with less fuel, but if you're going to be taking 4 tires, I guess that's pretty irrelevant.
Yeah, usually they'll finish up fueling the car up before the length of time that the 4 tires takes to change. But certainly it's something to think about too with these cars being so momentum based. A lot of people go that fuel route. However, actually a lot of times the balance of the car comes into play, and especially for this one where I think most of these guys are battling a really tight condition, they'll probably fill it up all the way regardless. And what could be interesting too is sometimes with a really tight race car, people will only take 2. However, I think with this one, a 2-tire stop might take all the lateral grip out of the car to begin with, so it might not be an advantage at all. So there's really a lot to think about, I guess, as you can tell.
So Terrell, again, still yet to come down pit road. He's currently working lap number 86, and we take a look back to remind everybody when the last time Bobby Terrell was down pit road for service was under that caution on lap 40. So obviously going 45 plus laps as he continues to lead this race, well able to make it the final 35 to go this time by, 34 to go this time by in the race. But Terrell continues to lead. It's about 9/10 now to Wayne Vincent. Nathan Little still rides in the number 2 position. Kyle Gilbert, the number 38 machine, he has lost his lap. Remember, he was the last car on the lead lap for the longest time there. The 5 of Dan Murray. Now we hear it. Bobby Terrell, the number 14, over the radio. He has announced that he is going to be coming down pit road. This is going to be the final stop for the Muscle Milk team. Let's watch him here on entry.
Yeah, I think Bobby come in there a little bit conservative. He wants to make sure that he's at pit road speed at that yellow line with those 2 yellow cones. There is the pit road entry. And so he got down to pit road speed, no problem, had an 8 or 9/10 of a second advantage on Dwayne Vincent, so he had a little bit of room to work with. He knows that he doesn't have to be perfect here, he just needs to be solid. And that was a pretty solid entry. Dwayne Vincent going to stay out for another lap, leads that lap, And with Nathan Little, I believe, coming down pit road this time by, they're going to lose that lap of speed. Actually, Vincent continues to stay out, so I think Vincent might be counting on maybe a potential caution coming out, just stretching this run as long as he can. As I was wondering if Terrell would do the same with points in mind, not willing to get stuck a lap down, but Terrell, not much to lose at this point. Only 7 on the lead lap, and going to lose that lap right there. But one of the interesting things, though, Dan Murray actually got out of the pits ahead of Bobby Terrell, but Terrell's going to have the speed advantage right now.
Yeah, Terrell really was conservative when he came down pit road. I was taking a look. I think it was when Rhett McBride came down pit road. He's in the number 2 machine. I don't believe it was him, but I was taking a look, and when somebody came down pit road, and totally drawing a blank here on the number, but they drove it in really, really hard. It may have been that number 2. And really, made up a lot of time or held time. And it looked like that the 14, obviously being the race leader, not wanting to take a gamble, lost some time. We'll get an accurate look because the 97 at Nathan Little, he leaves pit road, and he'll be well behind the 14 machine. So looks like Terrell going to pick up some significant time, but a car that was running just 9/10 behind him before they started the cycle through. Dwayne Vincent still yet to pit from the top spot.
Yeah, Vincent continuing to stay out, a little bit of a surprise, but, should a caution were to fall, it would be a huge advantage. So that's exactly what he's going for there. As Ronnie Potts leaves pit road right now, Terrell going to have no problem getting past him. Both Matt Lacrosse and Dan Murray, who pitted much earlier in this run once they were in their pit window, they're well ahead of Bobby Terrell right now. But just a visual, it looks like visually about a 2-second advantage, not sure what it is on the actual standing sheet. But Terrell has that tire advantage, probably about half a second faster right now. He's going to be coming at them pretty quickly, but he's going to use up, he's going to have a lot of the new off those tires once he catches them, so passing them might be a bit difficult. But another driver leaving pit road right now, Scott Simley, had a really quick pit stop. Looks like Bobby Terrell's going to clear him, though, entering turn number 3.
And Terrell will get through and clear of him down into the corner, which means Dwayne Vincent, who is yet to come down pit road, is going to be the only car on the lead lap. And you have to admire the gamble that Dwayne's taking. He is losing a lot of time, however, as he runs right now on the older tires compared to everybody else that just pitted about half a second slower per lap. But I don't think it was really a far-out gamble to stay out and hope for a caution, because we saw Adam Benefield obviously frustrated when he came out of pit road after disconnecting from the sim. Spin out that really there's not a lot of apron down there in 1 and 2 that you need to ride. It's very easy to slide up a little bit and overdrive it. So Vincent trying to take a gamble, maybe banking on a caution of that description, but it's not happening right now. He is the only car on the lead lap. Dan Murray sits 1 lap down in second, and then Matt Lacrosse, Kyle Gilbert, Bobby Terrell actually getting around Kyle Gilbert right now. Terrell's flying fresh on those tires. He's going to be closing in on Dan Murray, on Matt Lacrosse. How about Scott Simley, not too far off of Terrell? This is a brand new race.
Yeah, and Scott Simley, he came down pit road later than most of these guys and still made up a lot of ground. And the reason for that, 2-tire stop for Scott Simley. A gamble that doesn't seem to be hurting him at all right now. The car looks to be handling pretty well. Maybe gave up a little bit of short run speed with those 2 tires, but I tell you, it's holding up really well as Simley and Terrell creeping their way towards Matt Lacrosse and Dan Murray, who pitted probably about 20 laps ago, actually. Simley actually looks low on Terrell, backs out a little bit early, but Terrell gives the lane. Terrell going to have this advantage out of turn number 4, though, but we'll see if Simley can just utilize those newer right sides. Not quite enough. Terrell able to clear him.
Dwayne Vincent still yet to pit, and we're going to step away for our final commercial break, and we'll bring you back for the green flag racing down to the checkered flag. So final take of commercial here as the race continues to go on. Dwayne Vincent, he's closing in on 20 to go. He's yet to pit. He's the only car on the lead lap. You're watching the Real Sim Racing Asphalt Assault TV series presented by InsideSimRacing TV and Derek's Beer Designs. Who's going to win it? We'll find out on the other side.
Trucking has always been a part of me. It started years ago when my dad and granddad were hauling vegetables to market in Liverpool. The family immigrated to Canada in the late 60s and settled near Alliston, Ontario. I bought my first truck in 1982 and Mercer Trucking was born. Today, Mercer Trucking has over 50 trucks in terminals in Toronto and Los Angeles. Our storage facilities at both terminals can handle any size of distribution needs throughout North America. We service the continental U.S., including Hawaii and Alaska. We run over 120,000 miles per month and some of the best equipment on the road today. We specialize in less than truckload shipments, show freight, we do rush team service deliveries, and haul your refrigerated or heated product. Our regular team service from Canada to California is second to none, and our staff and drivers are among the best in the business. I'm proud of our people and what they can achieve. Trucking is in my blood, it's my livelihood, and it's what I do best.
Bobby Terrell is walking through the field and he's knocking on the door for the number 2 spot, which, when Dwayne Vincent comes down pit road, is going to be the race for the lead. It's been Murray, Terrell, Simley, Lacrosse that have been putting on a show these last few laps, which are battling for, again, what will cycle through to be the number 1 position inside of 20 laps to go at the Kentucky Motor Speedway. Again, the Real Sim Racing Asphalt Assault TV series presented by ISRTV. Derek's Beer Designs live on LSRTV. Evan Pasoko and Harrison Weidlitz up at the broadcast booth again. And Harrison, Dwayne Vincent still staying out. The Napa Auto Parts Chevrolet. Do you really think that he had to take this sort of gamble? He was up at the front of the field running in contention, and at this point, I'm probably sure he's hoping on a caution here if he wants to be able to walk away with this one.
Yeah, this is one of those moves where if a caution comes out, he'll really look and feel like a genius because it puts him in an unbelievable position to win this race. But without a yellow, it's pretty rough. It's not looking too good if there's no yellow, and it's been a green race, so it doesn't look like there will be one. But the battle's heating up, certainly, for second. Dan Murray really doing an incredible job because his tires are so much older than Bobby Terrell's, and Terrell was up there leading this race, just not able to complete the pass yet. And Scott Simley with his 2 tires now working on the outside of Terrell, not able to stay there, but Murray, much older tires than these guys, just goes to show how great of a job he's doing holding them off, and it also shows a little bit of how difficult it is to pass as well, which just shows that short pitting strategy really the right move for Murray. Boosted him from about 7th to the battle for 2nd, and when Dwayne Vincent comes down pit road, if we do not get that yellow, which Vincent is on pit road right now, Murray's going to lead Murray's going to be back on the lead lap this lap, but he might lead the next one if he's able to hold off Scott Simley, who's trying to make it happen on the outside.
Yeah, how about this? Bobby Terrell was checking out, and he was conservative coming down to pit road. And let's see, because this 3-car battle is working off of 2. Dwayne Vincent is into his stall. Does he go with gas only? Right side's going to go up on the Napa Auto Parts Chevrolet. Does he go with 2 tires? It's a 2-tire stop. Dwayne Vincent is going to try to scramble to get off of pit road. Here comes the number 4 of Scott Simley at the start-finish line. Where does Dwayne Vincent match up? He's still on the apron, down into 1 and 2. He's trying to get back up to speed. He's only got 2 tires, and there they go on the high side.
Yeah, I tell you, I expected Dwayne Vincent to lose a lot more time, but he was put into a box where he had to go with 2 tires. And right now, he's in a great position. Scott Simley, we saw, took 2 tires on his stop, and it certainly has not been bad for him at all. Right now, leading that race. Now, Dwayne Vincent has the tire advantage. He's right with these guys with fresher rubber, fresher right sides. So I was sitting here thinking, man, I don't know about that strategy. This just seems a little bit, just way too risky, but it goes to show you why might just go to show you why I'm sitting here talking about the race, and Dwayne Vincent is about to be trying to take that lead.
And if Dwayne came out on 4 tires, then he would be flying through these guys. He is using those right sides to his advantage. He's not entirely out of this. To the inside he goes on the 5 of Dan Murray. The inside has not been the preferred passing lane. Scott Simley is up front by 0.2 of a second over Bobby Terrell in the number 2 spot. We saw Bobby go to the inside quite a few times, Harrison, on Dan Murray, but because it was the inside, it was not able to work. So despite the big gamble by Dwayne Vincent, he pretty much ends up right where he was before, about 9/10 off of Bobby Terrell before that all started to cycle through.
Yeah, really incredible. And just those inside passes, this is the time to do it. Right when those tires are at their freshest and you're around cars who pitted a while ago, that's when he can really take advantage of these tires. But passing Terrell or Simley, it's gonna be rough. It's gonna be a hard pass to make on the inside, but he's got the tires, and we've seen Dwayne just really throw it into turn 1 all race, and he's closed right up on these guys. We're coming up next time by on 11 laps to go. Dwayne's currently up to 3rd with the freshest tires right here. Bobby Terrell, the only one to take 4 in this group. Scott Simley, the leader, with right sides only, and Dwayne with right sides only. So quite a different complexion in this race than I expected, and Dwayne's looking to get that nose high. He knows it's going to be hard to pass on the inside, but he's put into a box where it might be the way that he has to try to really make it happen.
Well, I'll tell you, 50 laps ago, I was not expecting this, Harrison. Bumper to bumper, top 3 spots coming into 10 to go. It is Scott Simley in the number 1 position. Can he steal this one? After making 4 starts, only has 1 top 5 finish, has not been a victory lane yet on this 2014 campaign. Again, Terrell trying to gain the most. That number 1 spot is crucial for him if he wants to get as many points as possible over Adam Benefield, who continues to sit 6 laps down, but Corbin Hemstreet has since retired from the race. So Benefield has been able to capitalize on the handful of drivers that have retired, and he sits 13th right now. Terrell sitting 2nd. It's an 11 position differential when they enter tonight, 17 points different in the standings. And the 9 goes to the bottom, Dwayne Vincent. It is 10 laps to go and going to be 9 to go this time through 3 and 4. The only issue is the longer Vincent battles with Terrell, that gives Scott Simley more of an opportunity to try to run away with it. Is his number 4 machine up front. That time he opened up 2/10 side by side for 2nd. Vincent's going to need to slide up in front of Bobby. He does it, and back to single file for the moment.
Yeah, Dwayne was going to have to want to complete that pass as quickly as he could. Now crossed over by the number 14 of Terrell, but with Vincent on that high side, I have to think that Vincent's going to really utilize that momentum on exit here in turn number 4 and clear Bobby down the front stretch. And I tell you, Bobby does a great job on the bottom there, but Dwayne looks like he's just going to get clear before the start-finish line. Now that number 9 car has his eyes set on the other driver on 2 tires, Scott Simley. But I tell you what, the number 9 has newer tires than the 4s, and you could just tell how much ground he makes up from the entry all the way to the center, and hold steady on exit here. We got a battle for the lead that, not too long ago we did not expect at all, and this time by the start-finish line, it's going to be 7 laps to go.
And just under 20 laps ago, it was the 6 of Ronnie Ponce who caught the fence at a 2. Nathan Little got into the back of him, so both the number 6 and the 97 South Point Chevrolet of Ponce and Little respectively picked up damage. They are having a valiant effort. They were side by side that last lap for what's going to be position number 5, but all eyes up front as Dwayne Vincent, he was able to hold off a Bobby Terrell crossover. Can the amazing strategy call of staying out, taking 2 tires and having a little bit fresher Goodyear rubber at the end pay off? He goes to the inside. He was able to make it work on Terrell. Can he do it to Scott Simley? That time by the start-finish line, 6 laps remain. They're going to be side by side down into 1 and 2.
And you could tell entering turn 1, Dwayne wants to be as high as he possibly can. The number 4 trying to pinch him as much as he possibly can. Lap traffic gets out of the way here. Kyle Gilbert ducks to the inside. Simley able to hold off Vincent there, but such a hard pass to make, and the driver on the inside always trying to get as wide of an arc as he can, and Vincent just not able to clear him there. But he's running out of time, and he knows it too, so he's getting more and more desperate to complete this pass while he has the biggest tire advantage that he has. But the new has pretty much come off of Dwayne Vincent's tires. These guys are close to equalized, but not quite. But only 5 laps to go. A caution would end this race. And you know that every driver in this race right now knows that. So tension is high.
How long does Dwayne Vincent wait until he starts to get physical on this one? He's been making aggressive moves. He wants to get to the outside. He's going to go to the bottom. The 4 shuts the door not once but twice. Dwayne Vincent, he's able to get to the inside, back door to door, but he's not going to get clear. The 4 holds a nose. Vincent with a run through 1 and 2. He's going to get it on the inside. Does he get clear? The 4 still has the nose. Vincent's going to get him on the inside, not quite down into 3. He'll get the number 1 spot on the inside lane as we come to 3 laps to go.
And I tell you what, that was some sportsman-like driving at a turn number 2, because Dwayne had the opportunity to do the slide job and just cut right in front of the number 4, but he did not do that. And he had enough faith that he would be able to clear him completely in turn number 3, which he did. So Dwayne Vincent's got the newest right side tires in the field. Now he's got to not make any mistakes, and now he's got to be a little bit defensive. And I think if the drivers behind him get a run on him, they're going to have to look low, because Dwayne knows that he can't give up the high side.
Well, Dwayne went all the way down to the apron down there, down the front straightaway, this time by the stripe. 2 laps and 3 miles remain. I think the only position up for grabs right now, assuming the 9 does not have issues, is the number 2 spot. Terrell took a look to the outside on the 4 of Simley. He has a run through 1 and 2 this time, but Dwayne Vincent, the 2-tire only call, after he stretched that fuel load as much as he could, it looks like he's going to pay off to go into 3 and 4 for the penultimate time.
Yeah, and Dwayne Vincent going to see that white flag. Once the white flag's in the air, that means no caution will end the race. It's going to stay green all the way until the checkered, but the battle's on for second right now. Similarly to the outside, Terrell trying to make a run, knows that every point is oh so valuable right now, especially since he's not going to get those few extra points for winning this race unless something were to happen to that number 9. But similarly, with a great run on the exit of turn number 2, pulls a couple of car lengths down the backstretch, and it's all Dwayne Vincent out front.
So we doubted him, we questioned the strategy, but in the end, he's going to get it and off a quarter number 4 for the final time. The Napa Auto Parts Chevrolet, the number 9, Dwayne Vincent to victory lane at the Kentucky Motor Speedway. Scott Simley second, Bobby Tyrrell going to round out the top 3. A great final 20-lap battle. Also include Dan Murray in that. He'll finish 4.6 back in 4th position, but he gave those guys a run for their money at a great close to a race that was filled with a lot of green flag racing, a lot of good battling at a track that is very hard to pass with. We saw the inside was just not working, and Dwayne Vincent made it work the one time it counted, and he was able to get around Scott Simley. He'll put that number 9 machine in victory lane. Yeah,
and varying strategies right there. Dan Murray with his early pit ends up with 4th. Before then, he was running about 7th, so I would say it worked out for him. And, for the drivers who really stretched their mileage, Bobby Tyrrell pitted around lap 88 with 4. Scott Simley pitted a few laps later, took 2. And the winner pitted later than all of them. And so, not many went with the same strategy in this one. Made a real entertaining race in the final laps there. Incredible win for Dwayne Vincent.
So with that being said, going to go to our final commercial break of the broadcast after Dwayne Vincent's able to walk away with the checkered flag. When we come back, going to be the post-race show. We'll talk to the top 3 finishers and get you set for the second half of the season. That will begin in 1 week's time, same place, same time. That will be at Michigan. So don't go nowhere. We'll be right back. Post-race show coming up next on LSRTV.
Trucking has always been a part of me. It started years ago when my dad and granddad were hauling vegetables to market in Liverpool. The family immigrated to Canada in the late 60s and settled near Alliston, Ontario. I bought my first truck in 1982 and Mercer Trucking was born. Today, Mercer Trucking has over 50 trucks in terminals in Toronto and Los Angeles. Our storage facilities at both terminals can handle any size of distribution needs throughout North America. We service the continental U.S., including Hawaii and Alaska. We run over 120,000 miles per month and some of the best equipment on the road today. We specialize in less than truckload shipments, show freight, we do rush team service deliveries, and haul your refrigerated or heated product. Our regular team service from Canada to California is second to none, and our staff and drivers are among the best in the business. I'm proud of our people and what they can achieve. Trucking is in my blood, it's my livelihood, and it's what I do best.
Back live here at the Kentucky Motor Speedway for after 120 laps. It is a close battle that comes down to the final handful of them that decides the winner. But first, Harrison Weinlitz, you're down on pit road. You've caught up with our third place finisher who had a shot to gain a lot, and he makes a lot of progress in the championship standings tonight, and that's going to be Bobby Terrell.
And Bobby Terrell, we saw early in this race trouble for Adam Benefiel, lost a number of laps. And I tell you what, after this one is all said and done, you're only 6 points behind him, so made up 11 points on the night. But just talk about that mentality shift when you see your competition encounter trouble and how that kind of shifts the way the outlook of a race in the middle of it.
Well, I mean, honestly, I hated for it to happen because I really wanted to see how it played out. I knew my car was good on the long run. I was reeling him in a little bit, and I'd already saved enough fuel to make it to halfway. So I was just, waiting to see how it was going to play out. And then, of course, he disconnected, and then the caution come out. So kind of disappointed in that. But overall, I mean, it was a good race. I mean, yeah, I gained a few points. That's good. That's always good.
Yeah, and that race for the win was pretty incredible. And I have to admit, I preferred your strategy out of all of them. So I was a little bit shocked that it didn't work out. But 4 tires with as many laps to go as there was, I really thought that was going to work out. But that was something, that race for the win between all the guys up there.
I think if I could have got out front and got some clean air, that I think the outcome might have been a little different. But who knows? I mean, I'm shocked and surprised that 2 tires, and lower fuel worked, because I think it was the lower fuel because it just seemed like the car was pulling a little better.
Yeah, and this car certainly, it looked like it had a tendency to push. How did the car feel to you tonight?
It was tight. I mean, all these setups are tight. I mean, they're actually, I know everybody says they're stable, but they're tight in the center. They're tight off. I mean, they're not to my driving style at all. None of them, because I like a loose car, so I like it where you have to use the throttle. So that none of them are any good for me so far.
Well, that's something I certainly can relate to with, but made up some points, and I know it's not the way you want to make up points, but another really solid run, top 5, finished third in this one. And who would you like to thank? Any shout outs?
LSRTV for doing this. You guys up in the booth, RSR, Hippie's Paint Shop, Derek Spears Designs, and the InsideSimRacing, I believe, sponsors it too. Those guys. So just thanks, guys. It was a good run. I'm a little disappointed, but hey, top 3, it's okay.
Yeah, definitely not the finish you were looking for, but a good run nonetheless. And Evan, I believe you've caught up with the second place finisher, one of the guys who took 2, be Scott Simley.
Yeah, we're down on pit road, and Scott Simley is going to be able to walk away with a second place result after starting in the number 15 position. Scott, what was your strategy call that got you up there in the mix?
Oh, that was a lot of fun. Just figured we had to stop to make there with probably I think I was like 16 or 18 laps short on fuel. So I figured I'm going to stop and put 2 on with close to 40. I screwed up my entry, but I was lucky to come out where I was on the track. A lot of fun racing out there. It was a little tight for me. But it was some hard-fought battle on out there.
You talk about that last battle. Walk us through that, where Dwayne Vincent, he was forced to go to the inside. The place that passing was not coming of ease all night long. He was able to get it done. Walk us through those final 5-10 laps there, coming down to that checker, and then also having to hold off Bobby for a second.
Yeah, that was pretty wild there. I should have played a little more defense there and just kept it. I left a hole for him to get into, and Dwayne got in there, so I figured, all right, I'm going to just take the high side because it's really tough to pass on the bottom. As you say, it seemed like if I had a run, I'd rather take the high lane, but he was down there and was able to. I thought I could come out even with him and just keep holding them off, because it's just once you get about one lap or a corner to pass somebody, and other than that, you're going to lose your momentum. So. And then once he got by, it was I knew it was going to be hard fought to just keep Bobby off my tail there too. So it's lucky. It was a good finish. It was a good finish tonight for the Budweiser team.
It's going to help you out in the championship standings as we reach the halfway point. You picked up your second top 5 on the season. How confident are you in the crew moving forward into the second half of this 10-race season, kicking it off next week for round number 6, going to be at the Michigan International Speedway?
Yeah, I feel pretty confident. I like Michigan, so hopefully we can get some good finishes and try to put some pressure on up front.
Before we let you go, who makes it happen for you and the crew?
Budweiser team did a great job today. Hippie's Paint Shop, of course. If you needed any paint supplies and you get your vehicles painted, RSR, ITSR Racing, LSRTV, you guys do an awesome job, and you guys in the booth.
Well, again, congrats on a top 2 finish, Scott. We'll keep an eye out for you and your team up front here in the future.
Sounds good, Evan.
Harrison, that is Scott Simley. He comes home with a second-place result, but you're down there with the man of the hour. It's a tire strategy call. You're down there with Dwayne Vincent in Gatorade Victory Lane.
Yeah, Dwayne Vincent's strategy, I have to be honest, I did not think it was going to work out, but he came out of the pits with 2 fresh tires, was close enough that he was able to pass everyone from 4th. And Dwayne, how confident were you that strategy would work out?
Not at all. First off, I want to say that hated to see Adam have his electrical problems. Man, he had the field covered. I certainly wouldn't be in victory lane if that wouldn't happen to him. But as far as for the strategy, man, I really when Bobby pitted, I said, well, I'm gonna stay out another 5 or 10 laps and hope that under these green flag stops that somebody will spin it going into pit road and the caution will come out or something and hopefully catch the field a lap down. Well, then that didn't happen, and I was like, well, it's I got to think of something else. So I said, well, I'm just going to run this thing out of fuel. Either I'll get a caution or we're just going to take 2 tires, and hopefully their tires will be wore out by the time that happens. And sure enough, it worked out. But to be honest, I just got lucky.
Yeah, honestly, with how hard to pass it was, it only takes a few laps for those tires to wear out. So when you were going through those battles, and it wasn't completely equalized, obviously, with your newer tires right at the end, but I mean they were a lot more equalized than right when you came out of pit road. So completing those passes on the bottom, kind of describe how difficult that is and how you had to set them up.
It's very difficult. You have to really get on the brakes hard and then just really kind of play with that throttle. This car is so hard to drive off with the throttle for me anyways. It was just you have to drive it in hard, mash the brakes as hard as you can and kind of throw it in there and then just work off with the throttle.
And next up on the schedule is Michigan, which is I guess similar in some ways but not so similar in others. Probably a much more pack oriented race. Not sure how that car drives, but probably kind of tight on its own. But how do you like Michigan? What are your prospects for next week?
Oh, I love Michigan. It's one of my favorite tracks, man. I'm looking forward to running there. It's a lot of fun.
We certainly look forward to that. Halfway through the season, one last start, but you're up to 10th in points, and a really, really impressive, great race for the win tonight, an impressive win for you and your team. So who would you like to thank? Any shout-outs would you like to make?
Well, my buddy Ronnie Potts, a teammate of mine. He finished fifth. I'm happy for him. And really, I followed John Abbott in a practice over the weekend, I think it was, and he kind of showed me the line. So I got to give a shout out to old Abbott, man. He kind of showed me a way around here, man. And all you guys at LSRTV, it's a lot of fun, man. And everybody at RSR for letting us have all this fun.
It's certainly John Abbott, kind of a feather in his cap there. Great showing for that 9 team. Dwayne Vincent, really incredible win, Evan, tonight.
And we're going to run you down through the full field rundown, the race results presented by title sponsor on the series, InsideSimRacing TV. It is Dwayne Vincent who goes to victory lane after leading 23 laps. He'll take the checkered flag. Scott Sinley would come home at a second place result. Bobby Terrell would come home in third after leading the most laps at 55. Those are the top three that we spoke to. Dan Murray comes home fourth. Ronnie Potts with a fifth place result. Nathan Little sixth. Kevin Linden would round up in the number 7 spot. Cody Gibson going to take an eighth place result. Ninth belonging to Rhett McBride. And Sean Bounty, the first car 1 lap down, would round out the top 10.
Matt Lacrosse just missed a top 10. He actually took fuel with a few laps to go, so a little bit of a fuel miscalculation. So Matt Lacrosse 11th. Kyle Gilbert took home the 12th position, 2 laps down. Adam Benefield able to get 13th out of it after connection problems. Corbin Himstreet will take home the 14th position. Keith Brooks Jr. rounds out the top 15. Steve Ritter out of the race in 16th, followed by Sherry Ann Mills. And last car, Brian Harvey, 18th.
So before we step away and call tonight's race and put it in the bag and we move forward to the second half of the season, Harrison, closing thoughts on what really was a great race. We saw everything. We saw green flag racing, and it came down to a pit strategy, tire/fuel strategy down at the end. Don't think we could have asked for much more out of this one.
Certainly, these types of races are my favorite because a lot of times you see a strategy work out where you don't think it's going to work out, or a strategy that you have to take in order to win a race. But in this race here tonight, we had everyone competing for the win. There was on a slightly different strategy, and so stuff like that is really fun to watch. Really cool to see Dwayne Vincent hold on there, or really pass cars right at the end and hold on for that victory after a strategy that I was worried about, and he was clearly worried about. And so really fun to watch, really good race.
Like we said, this is race number 5 in the bag, and the championship looks a little bit different. Bobby Terrell has closed it in. It is going to be a 6-point gap between him and Adam Benefield. Benefield retains the points lead at tonight's race. 5 down, 5 to go. We'll see you same time, same place, 1 week's time at the Michigan International Speedway. Until then, on behalf of the whole broadcast crew, Laura Lawson down in the production hauler, pushing the buttons, getting us on air as she does week in and week out. Harrison Weilitz for joining me up at the booth. My name is Evan Posoko. Thank you for tuning in. 1 week's time, we go race it again. Going to be race number 6 from Michigan.